Remainers and Socialists fight with each other to get full control of the Labour Party. We talk about the dirty tactics played by Rebecca Long-Bailey and Keir Starmer, and Boris Johnson's plans for the Brexit celebrations. Hello freedom fighters and welcome to another show. Today we're talking about the Labour leadership election. Again. Now, you might wonder why we should even be concerned about this. We're getting Brexit done, Labour are losing, they're in a mess, no one cares about them. But trust me, not only you should care, but you should be worried because as we've always said, the Western civilization are always only 1 or 2 generations away from losing its freedom and everything we have here. And Labour are still a danger and a risk to the whole thing. So all the candidates are launching their campaigns. Long-Bailey launched their campaign yesterday. We're going to talk about that. Towards the end of the video, we're going to talk about Boris Johnson's plans for Brexit night. But before we start, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you click on the subscribe button and the bell next to it so you get notified when we release a new video. We have a daily show that comes out every day at 5:45 p.m. Now, let's begin. When a candidate launched their campaigns or some sort of big event, they fill the room with dedicated and loyal supporters. It's not really the case for Rebecca Long-Bailey because there were a lot of people there who are obviously dedicated Corbynistas, but they're still not fully convinced, despite the fact that Long-Bailey is Jeremy Corbyn's pet. They're just not convinced.
What is it about Long-Bailey that you like?
Lots of things. I think she's a great socialist leader, and I think she's really passionate about the environment, which is really important.
I assume you were a Corbyn voter, of course. Yeah. Does she excite you as much or more than Corbyn?
Less, but that's why I'm here tonight to find out.
Well, I'm interested to hear her speak, really. I'm here to learn about Long-Bailey.
Are you definitely going to vote for her?
No.
No? Who's in between?
Keir and her.
And what could swing it?
Her performance tonight.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So there's a lot resting on it?
Yes.
Did you vote for Corbyn before?
He's my total absolute man. He's a boss.
Yeah, so a lot of people are still considering to support Keir Starmer, despite the fact that he's white, he's male, he's an ex-lawyer, he's a sir, he's from North London, he's middle class. Yes, he should not be the next Labour leader if these people really care about identity. And it's because, despite the fact that, we've said this before, Rebecca Long-Bailey is Jeremy Corbyn's pet, she's just not convincing. She's not believable as a human. She's like a innocent tiny kitten in the wild who thinks that she's actually a tiger. You're not a tiger, Becky. When she was asked by Lewis Goddell and from the BBC why people should back her over Starmer, this is her response.
Why should they vote for you over Keir Starmer?
I'm not from Westminster, I'm not from the London bubble, and I recognise...
Okay, this is my issue. Firstly, let's focus on this. Because she's a woman and she's northern. No, stop this. Okay, let's focus on this. Boris Johnson is a posh blonde boy from the south, and he managed to get a massive support from northern working class, from the Midlands, from Wales, all these areas. Nigel Farage is not northern or necessarily working class. He still managed to get a lot of support throughout his life. Donald Trump, he's a liberal New Yorker. He still managed to get the majority of the isolated and left behind areas in America. You do not have to be from a certain class or a category to get the support.
Brexit, it wasn't just because of the failures of our campaign. Many of these communities who didn't vote Labour had suffered from over 40 years of deindustrialisation.
Now, Keir Starmer is actually playing this quite well for the Labour Party. Now, the only solution to in the Labour Party these days is very simple: fence-sitting. And he's doing that exactly, quite well actually. Let's watch his interview.
It's now about ending factionalism. I mean, you very much don't see yourself as a factional Labour figure.
No, I don't. I'm not in any factions. I don't agree with factions. I don't think the question should be which side are you on. It should be what are you saying. And we need to.
But that's quite unusual for Labour leaders in the past, isn't it? I mean, usually,
good.
Yes,
good.
Yeah.
So this is the whole Jeremy Corbyn strategy. He might actually win this election because of fence-sitting, because he doesn't want to be labelled anything. Now, this is a big problem. That doesn't apply to any other party. Now, Boris Johnson had to pick a side. Now, firstly, picking a side doesn't mean you have to alienate the other side. It depends how you do it. Boris Johnson's campaign when he ran for leadership was he's a one-nation conservative. And that's technically a side, but didn't actually alienate the other side of the party. It depends how you do it. Now, this might work for Starmer in the Labour Party because they love to fence it, but not for the country. And this is going to be a big problem for him to actually gain support nationwide. But he's getting Remainers and Socialists to actually back him. Now, all that aside, there is one massive problem that the Labour Party are currently facing. And I wonder if they're actually concerned about this. They really should be. Now, during this leadership election, now every time they have a leadership election, they get a huge chunk of new Labour supporters. A lot of them are lapsed members who join the party again, but also new members. And usually it goes quite well, even back in 2010 and especially 2015 with Corbyn. This time, not so well. The 48-hour window to apply to be a temporary supporter closed on Thursday, with applicants who meet the eligibility requirements being able to vote in the leader and deputy leader elections. Now, that being said, the Labour Party announced last night that only 14,700 registered supporters had signed up. Now, comparing this to previous times, this is a huge drop compared to the 180,000 supporters back in 2015 when they joined to back Jeremy Corbyn. Now, that shows that despite having a panel of female candidates and the fence-sitting Keir Starmer, ordinary people out there aren't convinced enough about this whole project. Firstly, Keir Starmer is the architect of the second referendum position for the Labour Party. He was the massive leader of the Remain side, and he could actually be the next leader. So good luck with that. And the rest of them, are you kidding me? This is why now Keir Starmer's team are playing dirty tactics, just like Becky Long-Bailey. But Keir Starmer is now going around his team creating this new mood that actually we're not doing as well as we thought. And other random candidates like Lisa Nandy could be the next leader. So basically they are now briefing the press, the Starmer team, that Lisa Nandy is actually coming up. So make sure you back Keir Starmer. They're saying that Starmer's backers fear that Lisa Nandy is about to benefit from a hard left surge that makes her his top rival. Yeah, the hard left going to back Lisa Nandy. Yeah, okay, sure. That's going to happen, definitely. Considering the hard left hate Lisa Nandy, there is a traditional, obviously, socialist side who might back her, obviously, but not the Corbynistas. They hate her. And at the same time, Rebecca Long-Bailey, obviously she's got momentum in her pocket, most of the momentum, and they are now attacking Keir Starmer. His own constituency, his own local party are now making a move against Keir Starmer. Camden Momentum, which organises with Keir Starmer's Holborn and St Pancras CLP, has launched a blistering attack against the Labour leadership frontrunner in the pages of the Camden New Journal. They've said that, based on our experience, we do not trust him to follow through on these gestures and warm words. He has built a team around him that has worked tirelessly to marginalise the left within the CLP, yet now he calls for an end to factionalism. Starmer abstained on the welfare bill that forced poverty on the poorest, mostly women. Oh dear. Now, expect more dirty tactics and more drama in the next few weeks. Get your popcorns ready, it's going to be fun. This is why there was a survey done by YouGov of the Labour membership. And this is very interesting in terms of they were asked the percentage of people who agree what's important in the next Labour leader. I'm going to focus on one of the bottom ones. Firstly, only half of the Labour membership are patriotic. This is really worrying. 50%, only 50% think that the next leader should be patriotic. 44%, which is really high, said that the next Labour leader should back Corbyn's leadership, should have backed Corbyn's leadership in the past. 83% obviously say they have to support the unions. That's also very worrying. And the rest is also just idiotic. 38% say it has to be female. It has to be. 23% say it has to be from the north. 43% working class. Again, stop doing this. But they don't really care or listen. I don't think they're ever going to learn. It's like the US Democrats after Trump. They're not learning. They're just repeating the same mistakes over and over again. But let's move on, because Brexit is coming. Nigel Farage and Leave Means Leave are organising a massive rally in Parliament Square. I'm going to be there. Hopefully you can join us. Boris Johnson has also announced some sort of Brexit celebrations. Quite disappointing, but it's the government. There's a lot of security issues. I don't know. Let's just have a look at this, because Downing Street have announced plans to mark Britain's departure from the EU on the 31st of January, which include a special cabinet meeting outside of London. And this is actually quite cool. I think they're going to do this more often in the future, which is a good idea. And then a special address from the Prime Minister and a light display outside number 10 with the clock counting down to 11 p.m. Now, this is okay, actually, as long as it's not going to be very staged and polished and professional, because that's not what people want right now. They just want light-hearted, the human side of Boris, the human side of the Prime Minister to be shown. Hopefully that will be done rather than having a boring, robotic kind of speech from outside number 10. But this is how Downing Street are going to be celebrating this. Now, it's slightly disappointing, but at least they're doing something. This is why I prefer that we're leaving the EU under Boris Johnson than under Theresa May, because at least something is being done. They're also doing these coins, the Brexit coins, which is quite cool. Because if we had left under Theresa May, literally that night would have been the most depressing night, because the government would have been just quiet, no statements, no celebrations. At least the new Boris government are doing something. They're not going to throw a lot of money at it, but it's fine. There's going to be a big rally anyway. It will be interesting if Boris actually does turn up at the main rally in Parliament Square. That'll be very interesting. But we'll see how it goes. We have a lot to do, but as we have a lot of Brexit parties to be organised soon. Make sure you get your Brexit t-shirts. We have the UK Independence Day, 31st of January 2020. The link is in the description as usual. We also have other designs that you can find, merchandise, mugs, People versus Parliament, we are the 52%, and everything else. If you enjoy the content, make sure you click on the subscribe button and the bell next to it so you get notified when we release a new show. We have a daily show at 5:45 p.m. every day. I'm Tousi, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with a new video.